I'm puzzled by something from the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry tour of Nigeria. It's a tour of Nigeria and what's looking like a royal visit. And Meghan Markle has declared there that Nigeria is actually her country because she's found out from genealogical tests that she's 43% Nigerian. And this is odd for me, at least, for several reasons, and not just because her father is white and her mother has some white ancestry too. So how did she get to the 43%? But anyway, joining me is Esther Krakue, writer, columnist and broadcaster. Esther, great to see you. Look, the issue here is not just that most of Meghan Markle's ancestry actually comes from Europe or that she was raised in America by her father. It's, to me, trying to claim that you're of a country that none of your supposed ancestors have seen in hundreds and hundreds of years. At what stage does she say, for instance, she's American and home there?
Well, this is sort of diplomacy a la Meghan, and it's actually something that you tend to see a lot with African Americans when they come to parts of particularly West Africa, and they do a genealogy test and they say, "Look, I'm 16% Cameroonian or whatever." I happen to have done a genealogy test, and I couldn't have been more Ghanaian if I tried. But the question is, how does this stuff like this land, and does this actually work? So the royal family, for instance, have done many tours. The late Queen herself, did many royal tours, and she couldn't go to every single country and say, I'm 1/16th Gabonese or I'm 1/7th Finnish or anything like that. You have to find other ways to connect with people, and actually learning about the culture, understanding how people live, the challenges that the country face. That's a stronger connecting point than saying that, you're 43% Nigerian. I mean, I agree with you. The maths there just doesn't add up, but I don't think people want to delve too deep into that because it's her truth and you don't want to get in trouble for that. But I think it's more the question of, this is a kind of blunder you would expect when you're doing that form of diplomacy by herself. And also the trip was a bit bizarre because, we have to remember this was on invitation from the Ministry of Chief of Defense Staff in Nigeria, which is the highest post you can hold in the military. And they were meant to be talking about Invictus Games. And then she goes to give a speech at the school. She hosts a Women in Leadership conference. Harry's talking about mental health. And it's kind of drifting away from the Invictus Games, which is what the trip was actually meant to be about, to kind of this broad, almost presidential PR tour for the Sussexes. And so you did kind of see a split of public opinion. Many Nigerians were thinking, well, this is a bit of a waste of public money. This is not like we're courting a state that can help us with resources. This is kind of like a faux royal couple that are there to kind of boost their image. And then you had the other side of the coin, which was, it's great to have them there. They're kind of the Harry and Meghan defense squad, and they're just happy that they've broken off from the royal family and doing their own thing. But again, this is the kind of finesse that lack of finesse, I should say, you would see when someone has kind of torn away from the royal fold and doesn't understand these intricacies of diplomacy.
Yeah, but it's weird, isn't it? Because Prince Harry, right, he could go to Germany, and I would bet you, Esther, a lot of money that he would not say to the Germans, I feel at home in Germany. This is my home. Yeah. I am German, even though he's got much closer bonds, in the family's past to Germany, to the Battenbergs and all that kind of stuff. He could go to Greece and say, look, my father was the royal family of Greece originally. They don't do that. But here, there's something different.
Yeah, here it's more acceptable. And I don't think they realize kind of how stuff like that would land. For them, it's just, it's a fun fact. This is how I connect with you. Look, I grew up in Ghana, and there was no shortage of people like Meghan coming over and saying, look, I'm 1/16th Ghanaian. And we generally used to ask, okay, do you know anything else about Ghana? Do you know how people live? Do you know anything about the languages, the food, anything like that? I think that's a stronger connecting point, actually learning about the people and treating them as full human beings, as opposed to, treating your heritage as some sort of fetish. But again, this is something that I wouldn't hold against her because it's very common and it's kind of like a bit naive. But if you were within the royal family fold, they would know to tell you this is not something that you do. There are stronger connecting points that you can make with people, as opposed to just saying I took a genealogy test and I'm 43% Nigerian. What if the other half of the genealogy says she's 57% Russian?
Look, absolutely correct. It's so patronising too. I could be one of you just by a little genealogical test. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Esther Krakue, thank you so much indeed for joining me. Really appreciate it.